violence in Tigray. And Zimbabwe bans traditional burials. Those are the top stories in this news edition. Hello and welcome to ETV News. With the news, I'm Shamal Islam. Top leaders of the TPLF, including Keria Ibrahim and Sabahat Nega, appeared in court today. The leaders, who are suspected of masterminding rocket attacks in Asmara and Bahadar, assaulting troops in the northern command of the Defense Forces, appeared at the Federal First Instance Court. Police told the court that the suspects carried out complicated criminal activities meant to harm Ethiopia. The police request the court to give it 14 more days for additional investigation. The suspects, for their parts, Abraham Takesta, Abadi Zammo, Qeddusan Nega, Keria Ibrahim, Sabahat Nega, among others, complained about the court's lack of sufficient visit time from their families and access to food and clothes. The court ordered these facilities to be availed to the suspects immediately. Some of the suspects were represented by lawyers, while others defended themselves. There were a total of 20 suspects in court. The National Emergency Coordination Center ECC, a multi-sectoral emergency response ministerial committee, has visited Mekelle City, Tigray Regional State. Chaired by Mufariat Kamel, Minister of Peace, the committee, which comprises 12 ministries, review the emergency response process in the region following the law enforcement operation. The committee, along with the interim regional administration and command post, assessed the progress of distribution of humanitarian assistance. It also evaluated the provision of medical and social services and the general rehabilitation process according to the Ministry of Peace. Some leaders of contesting political parties approached by the Ethiopian news agencies say the elimination of the TPLF from the political landscape in Ethiopia will help solidify the prevalence of law and order in the country. The leaders from Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice and the Tigray Democratic Party reiterated that the TPLF is responsible for lots of distractions in the country. As Ethiopia's operation in Tigray continues to reach its resolution in 2 months of time, TPLF leaders, associates and their cronies are either being killed in action, surrendering or being captured. Daniel Kasam brings you up to speed.
Chairperson of the Tigray Democratic Party, Argai Berhe, was himself a founder of the TPLF until his falling out with the likes of Abraham Zenawi and Sabahat Nega. In an interview with the Ethiopian news agency, Argai said the TPLF masterminded countless atrocities against innocent Ethiopians, including flagrant violation of human rights. TPLF leaders have left no stones unturned to disremember the unity of the country after they took refuge in Tigray's capital, Mekelle, about 3 years ago. According to Argawi, the capture of several of the TPLF leaders would help ensure peace and rule of law.
The capture of the TPLF leader would open a new chapter for Ethiopians. We have now entered a new era of hope, democracy, unity and solidarity. There would be no more dictatorship by a group. The fugitive group was reckless in waging war on the northern command of the National Defense Forces. Nobody who commits such atrocities can claim to represent the interest of the people.
Chani Kabede from the Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice, for his part, indicated that the TPLF group has been creating instability and hampering citizens from leading a stable life. He attributed the displacement, destruction of properties and killing of civilians in various parts of the country to the ceaseless conspiracy of the TPLF.
ለማድረግ የተጠነሰሱት እንስሶች በአጠቃላይ የተቀጩበት በሰላሙ ጉዳይ ላይ የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ እፎይታን ያገኘበት እና
Their final act in attacking the Northern Command shocked and saddened all Ethiopians. The TPLF clique was moving in a direction that endangered not only the Ethiopian people, but also the people of Tigray. It is important for the Ethiopian people to capture and destroy these leaders. The move has been widely accepted. The move in this regard would also contribute to the recent peace in the country.
He further stressed that the arrest of the TPLF leaders would create opportunity to the people of Tigray to benefit from the inclusive development endeavors in the country.
Public representatives drawn from various parts of the country are deliberating on various national agenda, including pros and cons of the reform and democracy building process in the country. The discussion, which involves religious leaders, elders, public figures, scholars, activists, and musicians, among others, is being held under a theme: political order, democracy, and stability, fostering constructive exchange and intercommunal relations. Backdrops of political system and democracy building, pros and cons of the reform agenda in the country, and intercommunal relationship trends are among the critical discussion points of the meeting.
I like the food. I have to admit, I can't eat injera 4 times a day, but 1 time a day is fine.
Well, my favorite thing is how the whole city seems to be celebrating all at once. It's a very festive atmosphere. And my favorite actually are all the women in their dresses and the cool hair, and it's very exotic for me. Very exciting.
We saw the Timcat Festival on television at home, and we decided we would like to come and see it.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the Ethio-China Comprehensive Partnership is exemplary to other countries. Talking to ETV here today, Ministry's spokesperson Dina Mufti said the 50th year Silver Jubilee of the event is taking place with various assortments. Take a look.
Ethio-Chinese relations go back to the early 1970s. Back then, the two nations cemented ties in various investment fields. China has become one of Ethiopia's biggest investment partners, with the investment ties between the two currently standing a little over $1 billion. Talking to ETV, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs discloses that the 50-plus years relation is characterized by several features.
The cooperation between these two countries had been manifold. At international level, there is cooperation in the areas of poverty reductions, on the issues pertinent with the developing countries, on the issues of, overcoming difficulties in the different parts of the world, particularly in the developing nations, on the issues of overcoming conflicts throughout the world. These were the visits, and those visits have continued at the high level. It includes the visits of the former prime ministers of Ethiopia, as well as the recent visit of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed to Beijing, and his conversations and discussions with the Chinese officials about further strengthening the relationship between the two countries.
According to the spokesperson, the comprehensive ties have helped bring thousands of active projects in various fields in Ethiopia. Dina reaffirms that the two countries are also working jointly in various fields.
We call this relationship comprehensive, strategic, and cooperative. It's because it has so many characters. We do have party-to-party relationship. We do have people-to-people's relationship. We do have government-to-government relationship, as well as business-to-business relationship. That's why we call it comprehensive. It's deep, strong, and definitely it is beneficially. It is growing from time to time as well. Yes, this is the general character of the relationship.
The spokesperson added the two countries are discussing to find possible ways of bolstering the ongoing strategic partnership in the near future.
While we are celebrating the 15th anniversary, we are looking forward to further strengthen this relationship in all areas, because there are rooms for maneuvers, rooms for improvement, and there is possibility of widening cooperations in the areas of, in all areas, in the health sector, in the education sector, in technology, and I think all areas could be widened further, and further strengthening relationship is the order of the day. This is a commitment on the part of both leadership and governments when they observe the 50th anniversary.
Two high schools built by Office of the First Lady in Jigjiga City, Somali Regional State, have been inaugurated today. Zinash Tayacho, together with Deputy Chief Administrator of the Regional State, Mustafa Mohammed, and other local officials, inaugurated the Jigjiga LIS number 1 and 2 high schools. The schools, which comprise of administration buildings, classrooms, libraries, meeting halls, and toilets, were built at a total cost of 27.6 million baht. The construction of the schools took 1 year for completion, and each school had the capacity to accommodate 1,800 students in 2 shifts, it was noted. The number of schools built and inaugurated by Office of the First Lady has so far reached 9. The government of Japan awarded a member of Ethiopian Parliament, Hordofa Bekele, with an Order of the Rising Sun from the Emperor of Japan. The award has been bestowed upon the Member of Parliament for his long-time cooperation for deepening mutual understanding between Ethiopia and Japan, finding good assistance projects, and bridging Japan and Africa. Hordofa Bekele is a former deputy chair of Ethio-Japan Parliamentary Friendship League. Emmanuel Jorge brings us up to speed.
By Thursday this week, a conferment ceremony was held at the residence of the ambassador of Japan to Ethiopia to congratulate a former vice chairperson of the Ethio-Japan Friendship League, Hordofa Bekele. Hordofa was awarded Order of the Rising Sun, Gold and Silver Star. Hordofa Bekele is awarded for his contribution to further strengthening economic relations between Japan and Ethiopia. Japanese ambassador to Ethiopia, Ito Takako, said that Hordofa played a significant role to strengthen the bilateral relationship of the two countries and Japan in Africa.
I would like to express my warmest congratulations to a person whose work is not limited to Ethiopia, but all across Africa. To Hordofa Bekele, a former deputy chair of the Ethio-Japan Parliamentary Friendship League, who has been awarded the Order of the Rising Sun, gold race with neck ribbon, for his long-standing devotion to nurturing the bilateral friendship between Japan and Ethiopia.
Ito told the gathering that Hordofa has been very collaborative to her and her predecessors in diplomatic initiatives.
I cannot count how many times Ato Hordofa helped my predecessors and colleagues by providing valuable advice and appropriate information on Ethiopia's politics, economy, foreign policy, or situations in Africa, etc., which are instrumental in considering our policy toward Ethiopia and towards Africa. Ato Hordofa, domo arigatou gozaimasu.
The ambassador recalled the victory of Abebe Bikila in Tokyo Olympic, which remains a memorable event.
This summer, Japan is hosting the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games. In 1964, the legendary philosopher on the run, or the Barefoot King, Abebe Bikila, grabbed the hearts of the Japanese people when he won the second gold medal in the marathon, the last event of the Olympic Games. More than a half century later, today, Abebe Bikila Memorial Half Marathon is held annually in Japan.
The Order of the Rising Sun, established in 1875, is the Japanese government's oldest honor. It is awarded to foreigners who have made notable contributions to the enhancement of bilateral relations.
In our business update, agro-processing industrial parks are being built in various parts of Ethiopia. These industrial parks were erected for the sole purpose of supplying processed and value-added products to local and international markets. So far, market linkages have been facilitated. Managing of these parks goes to the Industrial Development Parks Corporation, while the Ministry of Trade and Industry provides support. The industrial parks in the 4 states of the country have shown remarkable progress, says the ministry.
These industrial parks are being built in the 4 of the 10 states, namely Oromia, Amhara, and Southern Tigray. Although constructions were delayed, the government has helped to speed up construction during the past 2 years. For instance, the Bulbula Park in Oromia State has reached 97% complete, while Burra in Amhara is 98% complete. Also, Yirgalem stands at 96%, while Baikur in Tigray is about 80% complete. The construction of these industrial parks are nearing completion.
State Minister Ashete also emphasized that the parks will help solve shortage of foreign exchange and limited supply of agricultural inputs, which are some of the challenges hampering the country's plan of import substitution.
30 ቢሊዮን ብር ተመድቦላቸው ነበር በቅድ ወስዳሉ ተብሎ
A total sum of 30 billion birr was allocated. Various industrial parks have so far used 22 billion birr for the completion of the construction. And within this year, the government has earmarked 4.5 billion birr as part of its priority for the parks.
The Ethiopian Toll Roads Enterprise has announced today that it has collected more than 193 million birr over the last 6 months. The enterprise achieved more than 90% of its plan, it was said. The enterprise stated that the Addis Ababa-Adama and Redwa-Dawole expressways have accommodated 4,413,000 traffic flows over the last months of the budget year. Besides road safety works, its undertaking, the enterprise has recognized best employees and awarded them as Express Miles Safety Ambassadors. The enterprise has been striving to provide better services, applying updated technologies and deploying skilled manpower, designing projects which enable to achieve swift traffic flow and ensure road safety. You're watching ETV News. Now a look at a couple of international news items. Votes are being counted in Uganda's closely contested election, with the final results expected by Saturday. Opposition candidate Bobi Wine has called the process unfair, alleging fraud and violence marred the vote. Bobi Wine wants to end President Yoweri Museveni's 35 years in power. Jerusalem Bazaar, the following report from Al Jazeera.
Voting in some polling stations started late because of delays in the delivery of voting materials. At this station on the outskirts of Kampala, people wait patiently for an hour before they could cast their ballots.
One thing, we are disappointed on the way the government has handled the whole process. You know that the internet is not working and everything is down.
President Yoweri Museveni voted in western Uganda. He has previously warned some opposition politicians and electoral commission officials against what he described as attempts to rig the election. Some opposition leaders, including Bobi Wine, his strongest challenger, have sent him the same message. Wine arrived at his polling station to an enthusiastic crowd and later urged them to stay on at polling stations to monitor the process and guard their votes. Maureen, a first-time voter who sells spare parts, is disappointed that what matters to her was not well addressed in the election campaigns.
Young people are not employed. Many are forced to travel abroad to get jobs that have no dignity. They're mistreated, but they're desperate. That needs to change.
The policing of the election.
Some political analysts say candidates could not properly sell their vision to voters.
The issues in Uganda are not about ideologies. The issues in Uganda today are not about policy direction. The issues in Uganda are about a political disagreement, i.e. whether there should be change or we should have a status quo.
The Electoral Commission says final results will be declared on Saturday. The US, the European Union and civil society groups have already said the process has been tainted and lacks transparency and accountability. Many Ugandans fear there could be violence if the results are contested.
And Zimbabwe's restrictions on traditional burials to try and curb the spread of COVID-19 have not gone well. Some citizens are saying that the move defies cultural norms. They warn that this restriction could have a far-reaching psychological impact. Goshu Melissa has more from the CGTN.
It is referred to as the one journey in which there are no companions. That reference has become more literal amidst new guidelines for burials of people that have died from COVID-19. At this funeral, relatives of the deceased are kept several meters away. They did not get a view of the body, which came sealed in its coffin directly from the mortuary to the graveside. They did not perform some of the traditional burial rites. It is unfamiliar and unbefitting according to some ordinary citizens.
In our culture, when someone dies, they should be brought into their home one final time and have their gathered relatives and friends bid them farewell appropriately. This is alien to us.
We cannot cut our culture because of the disease and do what other people do in other countries. That is their culture. We should stick to ours.
Some fear that drastic measures, in particular those related to the handling of corpses, are not justified.
When you go and look at the CDC guidelines, the Center for Disease Control America, it has been shown that the actual deceased body poses very little threat in as far as spreading. As long as you mask up, as long as you sanitize and you ensure that the body remains in the coffin, there is very limited.
Preventing people from bidding farewell in the way they deemed fit could have psychological and cultural implications.
People may not have closure to death in that way. Some people, they have even thought that maybe this person's spirit may come back or may not find rest, because you didn't afford the body the chance to get inside the home. You know, Shona people, they have got very rich cultural beliefs. They always attach some meaning between the life of those who are alive and those who are dead.
Although intercity transportation of bodies is allowed, this is happening amidst tight regulations.